Well, are you ready for some unindoctrination? I hope so. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. We're brought to you by MISTech. That's these great bracelets that keep you at the Schumann resonance, keep your blood in great order, keep your energetic body in great order, and keep the EMFs to a very manageable level. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com. Click on the MISTech logo, and you get a full 25% off. I'll have Halo back on really soon to talk a little about MISTech and just more about mysticism and changing the world, because we are just a couple guys trying to change the world. Well, folks, I want to talk to you today about something that happened a while back, and it stalled. And it's kind of odd to me that it stalled. It's kind of odd to me that it just stalled in its tracks. And we're talking about the reunification movement that was going full tilt, the stalled Pope Francis, the stalled Kenneth Copeland reunification plan. I remember back before the first time I went on Coast to Coast, I think it was the first time, and this all happened and this was all coming up, and then all of a sudden it has just completely stopped. And I want to look at why. And I think there's some things that we can learn about why. And I don't think it's over yet, but they have been stopped. They have been thwarted. And let's go back to the halcyon days of the Jimmy Swaggart era. That is Jimmy as I remember Jimmy. That's when I was there. And that's when Jimmy was on more TV screens than ABC, NBC, and CBS combined. And those were the halcyon days, which means like the iconic, the best it ever was, the almost so good that you can't even believe it really was kind of good. That's what halcyon is. Everything's great. That's the kind of days that are coming up very, very soon. Halcyon days that you can't even believe are going to be that good. And they're coming in a much shorter time than you are going to believe. Good times will be on us again before you can shake a stick at them. But why would you want to? But anyway, those were the halcyon days of the Jimmy Swaggart era, late 80s. It was good times. And there is something called the Conference on the Holy Spirit. And this was this ecumenical combination between crazy Pentecostals, really crazy charismatics, and Catholics getting together to speak in tongues and prophesy and heal and do all of these Pentecostal manifestations, which at the time I thought were great. But I knew that this wasn't great, because you can't have what we would call the truth, or what I did call the truth of the Pentecostal manifestation, speaking in tongues, healing, casting out of demons. You couldn't have that in a spirit of error such as Catholicism. But little did I know that I myself was in a spirit of error, and that guy still doesn't realize that he's in a spirit of error. So we had the right idea, but we were completely out of our minds. So Jimmy had the biggest church, one of the biggest churches in the Southeast, Family Worship Center. It's still there today in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And the Conference on the Holy Spirit wanted to rent the church. Now, Jimmy wouldn't have services on those particular days, but they wanted to rent the church and come in and have their Conference on the Holy Spirit. These Catholics, some of them were Catholics. And I remember Jimmy saying, there's no way that a Catholic priest is going to stand on the platform of my church. And he didn't. Swaggart said no. Not only no, but heck no, because he wouldn't say hell no because he was too good of a Christian, right? But he said not only no, but heck no. So they did not allow the Catholics or the Catholic infused Conference on the Holy Spirit to use their church. And I was just a baby evangelist then. And I considered it a privilege to be involved in one of the great acts of defiance in recent cross-clinging history. We just said, no, you can't come here. And boy, did they get mad. They were mad on the TV. They were mad on the news. They were mad at the newspapers, bigotry, blah, 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 blah. But the Conference on the Holy Spirit was a huge event coming to Louisiana. They wanted Jimmy to let him use the church. He said no, wouldn't allow Catholic priests on the platform. Those were the halcyon days, the height of the golden years of Pentecostalism, the Jimmy Swaggart era. And not one Pentecostal worth his sweat back then opposed Jimmy Swaggart in saying no to the Catholics, as he used to call them. It was really the best of times. I still have, in spite of who I am and where I am, I still have some lingering fuzzies that float around in my tummy when I think about those days. Man, we had some church. Let me tell you something. But anyway, then just a few years back, we had this guy, Kenneth Copeland, who, when they both were on top, Copeland couldn't carry Jimmy's Bible. Copeland thought he was the best. Copeland wasn't even able to carry Swaggart's Bible. Swaggart would preach him up one side and down the other. Swaggart would preach him round and round to where Kenneth Copeland wouldn't know which way was up. But Kenneth Copeland didn't like Jimmy Swaggart, probably because Jimmy Swaggart was way better than him. Way better than him. Better preacher. Better man. More real. More genuine. I think that's the thing that Kenneth didn't like, is that Jimmy was genuine and Kenny's always been a snake. And I think that's why some people that don't like me, because they're snakes. But Copeland was silent during the Swaggart Catholic standoff. The most important thing to Kenneth Copeland is Kenneth Copeland. And Kenneth Copeland saw there was no money to be made in coming out and supporting Jimmy, because Jimmy had way more people than he did, way more stations, way more donors. So Ken was quiet. Then, of course, Jimmy had his little issues with ladies of the evening, shall we say. And Jimmy had a little trouble with the hymn in his sweatpants and stuff falling out at inopportune times. And he got in some trouble. And then Jimmy was out of power. He was humbled. He had to climb on top of nickels just to see the tops of dimes. It was bad times. The halcyon days were over. But now that Jimmy was out, Ken started thinking. He says, you know what? And there was a period of time between this. It wasn't like he decided the day after. But Kenneth Copeland decided, you know what? If we could get with the Catholics, there's a whole bunch of those people, and they got a lot of money. If we could just cozy up to the Catholics, we could get a lot more tithes. If we could cozy up to the Catholics, we could get a lot more offering. If we could cozy up to the Catholics, we could build our TV network. So Kenneth Copeland decides to cozy up to the Pope, and he did something that to this day, I still can't believe he did. The selling out of Kenneth Copeland. Kenneth Copeland had this ministers' conference every year. I've been to it. I think I had to go. Didn't want to go. But he had this ministers' conference. You'd have 2,000-3,000 people that were just ministers, licensed ministers, Assemblies of God, Church of God, Pentecostal Holiness, independent charismatic churches. And he had this ministers' conference that he always had. But one year, and this was back before I went on Coast the first time, 4, 5, 6 years ago. I can't really remember. Maybe 3 or 4. He invited this Catholic dude right here, Clark Kent Catholic. Can't remember the guy's name. He invited this guy to come speak at the ministers' conference, a Catholic priest. And he was heading up this new organization that wants to make Catholics and Protestants, Roman Catholics and Roman Protestants, come back together again. So Kenneth Copeland invites this Catholic guy, invites him up on the stage. And man, I'm telling you what, if he had done that in those great halcyon days of Jimmy Swaggart, there would have been 2 people left in that room, maybe 3. Gloria, his wife, might have stayed, but they'd have been the only 3. We'd have got up and left. Tracy's like, I remember watching that and thinking, what the WTF? What the phooey? And he has this Catholic guy come up, Swaggart was the conscience of the Holy Rollers. Whether you like him or not, he was the Jiminy Cricket of the Pentecostal movement. But times have really changed. So not only did Kenneth Copeland, the little snake, and that's an insult to snakes, I'm sorry, invite this Catholic guy, but Kenneth Copeland is up on the platform. Catholic guy shows a video of Pope Francis saying, "We love you. We want to be your friends. We want to be your brothers. We're brothers from another mother. Let's all come together. Let's have a good time together. Let's have reunification. Let's have some fellowship." So this video gets played at the Kenneth freaking Copeland Ministers Conference. I'm telling you, folks, they would have left. We'd have left, and we'd have thrown stuff at him. We'd have been, oh man, we'd have lost our sanctification. I think his name is Tony Garcia. We wouldn't have torn it up, but we'd have let him know that we would have shouted him down. But not only did he have the freaking priest guy come up here, but he has Pope Francis speaking. I don't think it was live, but speaking on a video. We want to be your friends. We want to reunify. It's time for the body of Christ to come back together. And then what does Snaky Copeland do? He gets up and has this dude hold his cell phone while he records a message back to the Pope. We love you. You're amazing. We want to be together. Blah, blah, blah. And then to top it off, Copeland starts speaking in tongues. Honda, Toyota, Kawasaki. And he just goes off. And then he gives an interpretation to his own tongues and says, yes, he's our father. We're brothers. We need to get together. And they had this organization that was formed, and it was fast-tracked, man. It was fast-tracked. Things were happening. Catholics was going to get back together with Protestants. Protestants were going to get back together with Catholics. It was going to be a big satanic kumbaya, as Truth Seeker says. It was going to be a great time. And I remember talking to George Norrie about it, and he's like, ooh. And then all of a sudden, it just died. It was just like, Rrr! Somebody put on the brakes. And it just caught me that it was really, really weird. Well, what happened? They got caught in the Trump revolution and the rise of the white hats. That's what happened. When you're an alligator, here's Pope Francis, here's Kenneth Copeland. When you're an alligator and they start draining the swamp, it's very hard on you. And they got caught in the Trump revolution of exposing darkness, the Trump revolution of exposing all the things that we know are exposing: child abuse, human trafficking, abuse. All of those things began to get exposed. And if you don't think there's some religious names on Jeffrey Epstein's list, then I can't think of another word but stupid. You're stupid. If you don't think there's names on Jeffrey Epstein's list, you are a special kind of special. They are part of the swamp that's being drained. And it's hard to focus on the future when your very present existence is being threatened. And it's hard to focus on the future when they're about to tell everybody what you've been doing in the past and what you're doing right now. Billy Graham. I'm sure Billy Graham was just praying with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton. Come on, man. And Ben Affleck and all those other perverts. But anyway, make no mistake about it, folks. This is why I do what I do. And this is why I do it the hard way. It'd be a lot easier because there's a lot of people, a lot less talented with a lot less personnel than we have, doing far more as far as numbers go. But they're cheating. They're taking the easy, crossy way. We're not doing it. Make no mistake, Crossianity is part of the cabal. Crossianity is at the root of the cabal. The cross-clingers are at the root of the cabal. And they're staring exposure in the face. And don't think for a second that there's not sealed indictments that contain big religious names. Don't think for a second Jeffrey Epstein's list of passengers doesn't include big religious names. There's a reason why they call it the missionary position, ladies and gentlemen. There's a good reason why. And now they're panicking. These are some of the both Protestant and Catholic perverts that have been caught in child trafficking, not child trafficking, but child abuse rings. Clergy abuse used to just be viewed as a Catholic problem. The Protestants would point their fingers and say, oh, I'm so glad we're not like them. But now it's a Protestant thing too. It is for sure a Protestant thing too. And we don't know the half of it. Dare I say we only know about the tip of it? That's all we know. Kenneth Copeland is on the hot seat. Trust me. All the other Protestants are on the hot seat. Trust me. Francis is on the hot seat. Trust me. Pope Franny, he's on the hot seat. Trust me. Ken is in bed with him. Maybe literally. I don't know. But this is why the unity push came to a screeching halt. This is why the unity push has been backburnered, because they are fighting for their very lives. And you should fight for your life too, ladies and gentlemen. You really should. You should be out there involved in a fight for your life. And in doing so, you should employ the fluffy as a weapon in your fight for a better life. It's high consciousness on demand. You can get free trial for up to 30 days, or you can just buy it for a great price right at the beginning. It's called Focus Life Force Energy, or Fluffy. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on that Fluffy logo. You get 30 days for free and a great deal on the product. They're fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their lives. They're just trying to survive. The Pope can't worry about being friends with the Cope, and the Cope can't worry about being friends with the Pope. Right now, the Cope is worried about his ass, and the Pope is worried about his ass. They worry about their own asses right now. They might like each other's asses, but they're worried about their own right now, trust me. They're worried about saving their own butts. So the unity talk has come to a halt. The unity talk has come to a screeching halt. You don't hear it anymore. These guys are a lot of things, but stupid is not one of them. They got a lot of stupid people working with them. They got a lot of stupid people that support them, but they are not stupid people. They have a plan. They have a plan. They have a plan to try to get out of this alive. They have a plan to try to get out of this solvent. And I guarantee you there's closets in both, there's skeletons in both Roman Catholic closets and in Roman Protestant closets. And you don't like it when I say Roman Protestant, do you? So what? You are, and it is, and that's the way it is. You're Roman Protestants. And the most horrific aspects of all the cabal activities, those very same activities are the sacraments of these Roman Catholics, of these Roman Protestants. And their big problem is that they have now lost, they're losing the capacity to control the independent media. But think about it right now. For every Christian whistleblower, there's 10 Christian truthers. And you take our 44,000, which we're happy to have, and we're growing. That's a fraction of what most of these quote unquote Christian truthers have. But they're sweating. That's why a lot of them can't make one show without mentioning my name, because they're sweating. They're worried. They know that they're losing control of this genre. They know that we're coming for them. They know that we're coming and we're bringing the truth with us. They know that we're coming and they know that our give a damn is busted. We can't be bought. We can't be wooed. And we can't be screwed. We are coming and we're bringing a big truth stick with us. And they know they can't stop us. There's not many of us, but there's enough of us that we got their attention. And we're just getting started. We have not yet begun to tell the truth about these cross-clingers. We have not yet begun to expose their idiocy, their lunacy, and their dangerous doctrines. We're just getting started. And we're just getting started helping people set themselves free. We're just getting started helping people realize they're divine, they're sovereign, they're free. We're just getting started spreading the message of unindoctrination. And watch out, now we're going to teach people how to create themselves. And ruh-roh, Shaggy. Here come those crazy Christian whistleblowers, and I don't think we can stop them. You're right, you can't. Get ready. Here we come. But they won't just give up. They won't just quit. They've got a plan. They're preying on the kids and they're preying on us too. They're not going to go away quietly. They've launched their most powerful counterstrike, and it's a prophecy counterstrike and a demon possession counterstrike, mainly the prophecy counterstrike. And it's no accident, folks, that the September 23, Revelation 12, idiocy, stupidity started right after the Trump administration and the draining of the swamp. The Revelation 12, September 23 foolishness was just the latest lie of the lying prophets. And anyone that promotes it is either in on it or it was taken in by it. And today, anyone, hear me, hear my words. Anyone that is promoting, preaching, teaching prophetic messages, they're in on it or they've been taken in by it. Anybody that's preaching prophecy, anybody that's preaching gloom, anybody that's preaching doom, anybody that's preaching Revelation says and Daniel says and Matthew 24 says and the script says, anybody that's preaching gloom and doom, here it comes, last days, end times, tribulation, anybody preaching that is in on the cabal or has been taken in by the cabal. They are unreliable fools. Prophecy is all history, and they know it. They only try to make you believe it's future so they can control you and profit off of you. That's why they're not exactly lining up to have a debate with me, because they know they'd get their hind parts handed to them, and they know that they'd be exposed, and you would know. And they can't have that. Since that September 23, Revelation 12 lunacy, we've had a steady stream of prophetic distractions. And they're all designed, ladies and gentlemen, to take our eyes off the rotting corpse of the cross-clinging religion. 2,000 years of rot, it started to smell. They can't hide it anymore. So what do they try to hide it with? Oh, look! It's a rapture. It's a plastic HERU. It's a blood moon. It's an X-planet. It's a Nibiru. Oh, look over there. Look over here. Follow me there. Follow me everywhere. They're trying to distract you, to take your eyes off the realization of the collapse and the rot of the cross-clinging religion. I don't like the analogy, but it's so true. They're peeing on you and telling you it's raining. and you're too stupid to even get an umbrella. They are trying to distract you from their pending exposure along with the rest of the cabal. They're trying to distract you from the death throes of the cross-clinging cabal. And every single time you hear or every single time you see on your YouTube feed anything that has to do with end times, every time you see something that has to do with last days, tribulation, collapse, destruction, horror, bad times, getting worse, never be the same. Whenever you see that come up, know that it is this. Them trying to distract you from the death of Christianity. And shame on you if you still listen to it and put up with it. Shame on you. Doomsday prophecy. It's doomsday, but it ain't the way they think it is. The end is near. They're near. Their end. The end is near. Their end is what I was supposed to say. And this is what they are. They're a bunch of little cardboard cutout robots parroting a 2,000-year-old message from a dusty book that has been debunked 1,000 times, but it still sells and it still brings in the money, honey. And they don't care if they're cardboard robots as long as they're getting paid. We've got to ignore the distraction and force the cross-clingers to focus on the children. Where are the children? What have you done with the children? How are we going to stop you from doing it to the children? That's what we got to focus on. Forget Planet X. Screw Nibiru. Forget signs and wonders. It's a wicked and an adulterous generation that seeks after signs. That perfectly describes Roman Catholics and Roman Protestants. They're a wicked and an adulterous generation. And HERU DISTU himself said it's a wicked and an adulterous generation that seeks after signs. And yet they're still preaching about the signs, and you're still listening to them and supporting them. Are you wicked or are you adulterous? We've got to make them answer. When they want to talk about raptures, we want to talk about the children. When they want to talk about end times, we want to talk about the children. When they want to talk about prophecy, we want to talk about the children. We've been silent for too long. The Pope and the Cope do need to come together to announce their resignations. We need an end to the church as we know it. Christianity must perish. Both Roman Catholic and Roman Protestant, and every one of their popes, prophets, pastors, priests, preachers, and gurus are guilty. And they must be done away with. And you can see it. You can hear it. You can feel it when they talk. Watch their videos. You can see that they're worried. You can hear that they're scared. You can feel that they're panicked. Personally, I'm enjoying the show. Popcorn, Coca-Cola, feet up on the hassock. It's a good show. I'm loving it. Chicken Littles are everywhere. They're trying to outdoom one another. I call them the Looney Doomers. You've heard of the Looney Tuners. Well, now we got the Looney Doomers. And folks, I promise you, I'll be here to tell you who they are, and I'll be here to remind you who they were when this storm passes. And pass it will. Things will get better. And they will be better than you've ever imagined, much sooner than you'll ever believe. And if you want that to be true in your life, Get a hold of C60 Purple Power. Go to c60purplepower.com. Use the code TCW10, and before you finish one bottle, baby, you'll be saying, man, now I know why Jeff is always on top of it. Now I know why Jeff's always full of vigor. And now I know why Jeff is always virile, vigorous, and potent. Just like G. Gordon Liddy used to say. Folks, now you know what's going on. It's time for us to stand up and be counted. It's time for us to call these crooks to account. And it's time for us to stop letting them play their slimy game. Let's go into the chat room and see what you, the people, have to say. Because the people want to speak, and speak they shall. Let's see, what do we got going on here? His name is Tony Garcia. Speaking in tongues reminds me of my kids when they were toddlers. Speaking in tongues is actually a virus, a spiritual virus that allows you to be more easily mind controlled. More easily mind controlled. Children's charities, big red flag. Will do. Thank you. Is there such a thing as an execution bench? You could put a lot of people on it all at once, right? A lot of people all on it at once. Yeah, the Pope is moved on to baptizing aliens. That's so crazy. So crazy. Bing has a wiki type bio and it lists Satan as Copeland's parent. That's hilarious. And that's what Cynthia said too. Isn't that funny? Whoops. She said that's hilarious. I said that's hilarious. Whew, this is good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. This is good stuff. Prophecy is BS. Yet, am I wrong in being exponentially concerned? The longer this lockdown goes, the more I don't care if this will end well. Yes and no. Prophecy is BS. But you probably wouldn't be worried about this as much as you are if you hadn't had some prophecy in your background. We have just about decided that this lockdown is just about over. And there's more of us than there are of them. So don't worry, truth seeker. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. It really is. Let's see. Could be, Vicky. I don't think so, but could be. In the church, absolutely. We got in the Fed. Ooh, we need a t-shirt. In the church. Ooh. I'm going to start working with the guys from Conspiracy Tees. And I'm going to start wearing their shirts on the show. And they have a nice website. If you want to go buy the shirts that I'm wearing, not the one I'm wearing now, and the other shirts at their shop, you'll be able to do so at a discounted rate. But I think In the Church would be a good shirt. I'll have to suggest that. To the guys at Conspiracy Tees, coming very, very soon. It's summertime. You need some t-shirts. Why not have some t-shirts with some conspiracy stuff on them? Make Earth flat again. Whether you believe it or not, it's fun. It starts a good conversation. You gotta love this stuff. Space is fake. That's a great conversation starter. You gotta like that. I'm divine, I'm sovereign, I'm free. We'll have that again. That's a great conversation starter. Jesus slaves. Boom. We'll have that again. That's a great conversation starter. Believe me, I know from experience. I like to see this. Things are getting better right now. Yes, they are. They just don't want you to know they are, because if things are getting better, then the gloom and doomers, the loony doomers, are out of business. Out of business. Thank you very much, Annie. I appreciate that. I think we will make it so, even though that's kind of Picardy, and I'm more of a Kurt guy. But you know, I think a lot of prophecy is a mind FCK by the deep state. I agree with you very much, candidly, Sovereign. Yeah, the shirts they're good. And they got girl shirts, they got boy shirts. It's going to be fun times. Fun, good, fun, happy fun times. If you know where that's from, you watch too much TV. Is that what he used to say? Fun, happy times. But anyway, it was very creepy and a great series. They planned a very long time to have their end times come true. They have. But that doesn't mean they have to. I know that we can stop their plans just by getting the word out. Just by getting the word out. And we're having an effect because they're going crazy, they're running scared, and they can't keep saying my name. And that's all right. I like it. There's no such thing as bad publicity. And that means I'm getting rent for free. And I love it. I love it. We're going to keep going. We really are just getting started. We're looking for new ways. We're looking for new avenues. And bam, we are going to, we are really, really, really just getting started. And like Candidly Sovereign says, when you waking up to it changes their narrative. It really does. Absolutely. Absolutely. We got the power. It sounds like a song. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the last generation of real humans. We really are the last generation of real humans. All of the chemtrails, all of the crap in the food, all the time we spent going to drive-thrus. Notice I use that in the past tense. All of the stuff we've been eating, all the stuff we've been drinking. I was in the Air Force for 7 years. Who knows how much crap I injected into my veins. Our shot records, you had to have shots every week, at least every month. I'm telling you, folks, we are the last generation of real humans. But I like our chances. I watch this chat room. I watch the talk that's here. I watch other chat rooms, not much, but I do watch some other chat rooms. And there ain't many people like you people. And that is a good thing. And I'm very, very encouraged. And if people that follow them would follow us instead and be exposed to you instead of being exposed to what they're exposed to in these other places, they would be optimistic too. They would be full of hope too. They would be full of expectation too. Jermaine, I'm telling you, brother, I know they say things are bad and they're getting worse, but things are good and they're getting better, and they're going to be better than they've ever been sooner than you can ever imagine. I'm with Elizabeth. I'll bet my life we win. I am betting my life that we win. And we will. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cousins of all ages. We'll have some more podcast excellence today. The day is young. As Tracy says, thumbs up, thumbs down on the way out. If you're not subscribed, please do. And tell people about this channel. Share these videos. We're making a difference, and we really are about ready to move to another level. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. For Tracy Dyer and our great subscribers, for the lovely Cynthia, I do thank you and appreciate you being here. I salute you for being here, seeking after truth. I'm reminding you that you're divine, you're sovereign, and you're free. I'm reminding you to unindoctrinate yourself. And we're this close to victory. And victory's ours if we just get busy.